platform orientation. My name is Evan, and I'll be taking you through the new platform. Throughout this video, we'll cover things like logging in, setting up a class, rostering students, the basics of lesson management and enabling content. We'll also cover grading and reporting, customization, and then finish off with some support options in case this video isn't all-encompassing enough for you or if you need any help along the way. So to start, we're just going to talk about some login instructions and setting up a new class. If you're following along inside of your account and you don't know how to log in, hopefully this will help you, and you should have received an email from your teacher success manager with your specific login credentials. You can always use single sign-on with Google or Microsoft to get into the new platform, but if you need a username and password, those should be shared with you, or you can get in touch with your teacher success manager in order to get those reset. All right, so yeah, you can either follow along with me or just watch me go through it myself, and I'll make pauses at different points that I want to emphasize, and you can always, reach out to us from there. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you've probably seen, Stukent CTE is a new face of Stukent and Business U. Stukent is our best in world, or has had in the past, our best in world Simternships, whereas Business U is a provider that's mostly provided courseware. With the two companies coming together, we have all of this amazing content under one roof and a new platform. So whether you have a license to just the simulations, just the courseware, certification prep, certifications, or all of it together, this video will help you get logged in and set up a class to access those resources that you have. Currently, I'm on the cte.stukent.com webpage that gives me the option to log in. If I click that button, it'll take me over to the new platform and a login screen. Now, at this screen, I can either log in with an email address and password or utilize my district's single sign-in option for Google, Microsoft, or even Canvas, Clever, or Schoology. For teachers, this is the view, obviously, and then for students, this view is very similar. Both students and teachers log on the same exact platform, same web page, but have different accounts on the back end after logging in. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to my teacher account here. Your first time logging in, you'll see this welcome message with a video on how to create a class. Obviously, I'm walking through that myself as well. At the top of the page, you'll have your classes tab, which is going to show a dashboard of all the classes that you create. My content, which is where any customized content, rubrics, or class templates is going to live. So anything that you create. Reports, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but dive into specific time on task, total time, and grades by student, by class, and then by topic, like intro to business or personal finance. And then lastly, there's the Explore page where you can see our bell ringer library, as well as all of the content that is in your license. In the top right-hand corner, you should see your name. If you click on it, you'll see options for you to switch over to your student account in order to view the platform as a student, which we'll get into a little bit later, but gives you a nice view of what students are going to see in your class. You'll see a messages application where you can message to students that are enrolled in your classes within the platform itself. You have your settings page, which is where you can change your password and manage the accounts that you're connected to for single sign-on, as well as notifications. This one I'll take a second to touch on here. You will receive notifications by default for all of these different categories listed. Many teachers prefer not to receive so many emails from the website itself or from the platform, so they often choose to disable all of those, and it automatically saves. And then they may select a few in order to actually get emails for specific things that they're hoping for. So just wanted to name a couple of those things before we get too far. And then lastly, of course, if you'd like to log out from your current browser, you can click that button as well. All right, so now that we've gone through logging in and a general overview of the platform pages, let's talk about creating a new class and setting that up for our students' use. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see a blue Add Class button. Clicking on it will take you to a layout page of all the different products that you have access to, including our full-length courses, our simulations, our certifications, and our certification prep. Depending on the class that you're trying to create, you want to navigate to the specific icon of the topic that you're looking to create a class with, or you can choose to build your own course. For first-time users of the new platform, I strongly suggest you create a class with one of our pre-paced templates or with one of the simulation templates, as these are already built out for you, pre-paced and sequenced, as well as standards aligned. But if you so choose, we'll walk through build your own course a little bit later in the customization section of our training here. I'm going to go ahead and create a class with our Principles of Marketing template. I'll click Create Class, and then I have the option to give my class a name. It should be stated here that for every physical class that you have or every separate period that you have, you should create a separate class in the platform. We'll talk about copying lesson plans and content and settings from one class to another a little bit later, but go ahead and keep in mind, I'm going to create a separate class for period 3 and period 4 marketing so that I create separate rosters, separate grade books, and then I can manage the classes from there. All right, so I've given it a name, and I'm going to click Create Class. Now it's going to give me my course outline that, like I said, is pre-paced and pre-built for me. On the left-hand side, there are a few tabs for getting to our gradebook, our student roster, our announcements and messages, and then some default class settings. To the right of that, I see that my course is broken up into semester 1 and semester 2 in this case. Most courses within the platform are broken up by semester, but some are not. I can see in this course in particular, in semester 1 has 6 different units and then a semester exam and some projects. Semester 2 has 7 through 20, as well as some projects and a final exam as well. On the right-hand side, each of those topics or units breaks down into lessons. So I see lesson 1.1 and 1.2, 1.5, 1.6, and each of these lessons is going to drop down to show me a number of different resources that I can use to achieve the objectives of the given lesson. At the top of my screen, I see that I have the option to connect the platform to an LMS. I have options for Google Classroom, Schoology, Microsoft Teams, Clever, and Canvas. So depending on my LMS provider, if I'd like to roster my students from my pre-made and pre-rostered classes in my LMS and have the opportunity to post grades automatically over to that LMS, I can go ahead and choose to connect to any one of these. I'm going to go ahead and connect to Google Classroom, but the steps to get students rostered into my class and sync assignments is the same no matter what provider you're using. So if I click on Google Classroom, it might have me sign in the very first time, but after that, it's going to give me all of my classes from my LMS listed here. I'll choose which one I want to connect to and click Attach and Continue. And then from there, it should show me a list of my students that are available to be rostered. I'll flip over to another screen to show you guys this in a little bit more detail. All right, so let's say I'm over here and I just created that same marketing class. Once I go to connect it to Google Classroom or any of my other LMS, I'll choose that same class that I did before. All right, after clicking on Google, it might have you sign in. Same thing with Canvas. It might have you authenticate your account, and same thing with Schoology as well. Once I've authenticated my account, it should pull up all of my specific classes that I want to sign in and roster, and then from there, I'll be able to choose which students I'd like to bring over. We'll cover this in more detail later in the training here. All right, once I have my students rostered, they will show up here on the students page. I'll see a full list of my students, and I can access their credentials and everything from there. I can also edit my roster by removing students or re-rostering from my LMS in order to add students back. All right, so once I have all my students rostered into my class, it's now time to talk about lesson management. So you notice that in this new platform, we have all of the lesson resources listed under each individual lesson, and all of them come with a red X to the right. The red X means that things are disabled or not available for students just yet. We want the teacher to be in full control of everything that their students have access to. And so we make it to where things that are toggled onto red are not seen by students or are unassigned, and students won't see them until they're actually toggled onto green. All right, so now that I've made 2 resources available inside student accounts, they'll be able to see the one for lesson video and the one for glossary, but nothing else within the lesson. When looking at a lesson, all of them are set up about the same way. The first few resources are content delivery options, like a lesson video, lesson text, and then class discussion, which comes with a downloadable PowerPoint presentation. All of the same content is available in each source. It's just delivered in a different way to give the teacher and students an option for differentiation. So no matter if you do the video, text, or PowerPoint, you'll receive the same content. In the middle of the lesson here, you'll see quick review questions, glossary quiz, and lesson quiz. These are 3 options for an assessment of student learning. The quick review questions are going to be some free response questions related to the content of the lesson. The glossary quiz is going to be a matching opportunity for students to match definitions with words. And then the lesson quiz is going to be a multiple choice quiz that's, again, auto-graded for the teacher that students can go through and actually choose answers related to questions from the content as well. Lastly, at the bottom of each lesson, we have the activities. Activities do come with full instructions and lesson objectives and measurable objectives for the teacher. And then on the student view, we can see exactly what students are going to be asked, what instructions are for them, and some places where they can reflect on their learning or ask questions related to whatever the activity was. So you'll see in this lesson in particular, we do have video, text, and PowerPoint. We have a few different quiz options, and then we rounded out with 4 different activities. The activities are really where the application comes within our courses. So you'll see these in a number of our courses outside of the simulations, obviously. As far as pacing goes, each of our lessons has some estimated time underneath the title of the resource itself that lets the teacher know how long they can allocate or allot to this specific assignment. For example, in the activities, I see one is for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and 45 minutes. So the way that it's organized, this entire lesson, if you were to go through all activities, might take 2 to 3 lesson periods, depending on how long your lessons are and what you cover. All right, but just to role play a little bit of lesson planning here, maybe on day 1, I'll show the video, opt to show the glossary for my students. At the end of the class period, we'll take a glossary quiz. And then in the middle of the class period, we'll do this self-assessment and 1-word answers. I have 4 resources that I've toggled onto green, and I know that my students can now access those. And if I want, I can actually rearrange these so that students know what order to do each of them in. I have my lesson video that I'm going to walk through first. Then I'm going to go through the activity with my students second. So I've moved that activity up here. Lastly, I want to have the glossary and then the glossary quiz. So as the teacher, I can really reorder things inside of this new platform to tailor make it for my specific class. As the teacher, you also have full control over the settings of each assignment. So if I click into the assignment itself and then click on settings, I can see that I have an option to schedule assignments to open at a later time. I have a due date opportunity, grading category, total number of points. I can allow for multiple attempts if I so choose. And then I can choose how, if at all, to reveal the answers to my students. I can give a time limit as well. And I have checkboxes for excluding something from the gradebook for all students, randomizing questions, which applies to multiple choice assignments, or using a custom rubric, which will allow me to not answer this on a question, or sorry, not grade this assignment on a question by question basis, but rather use a rubric to grade for my students. Once I've set all the settings to where I want them to be, I have a convenient sync button in the top right, which shows my LMS connection. I can click that button and the assignment will automatically sync to my LMS. And from that point on, any grades that have been posted or any grades that are posted in the future will automatically go over to my LMS, no extra steps needed. So it is a one-time sync for each individual assignment. Beyond those settings management opportunities, I also have 3 dots next to each assignment, which will allow me to do things like lock an assignment if I no longer want students to have access to it. Now, I could lock an assignment instead of disabling it or turning it off. because when I turn off an assignment, it will actually pull the grades for that assignment out of the gradebook and act like it was never a part of the class. Now, don't worry, student work isn't deleted when you disable content, but you will see a pop-up that says, are you sure you want to disable this content? It'll pull everything out of the gradebook for the time being. So instead of doing that and pulling grades and affecting grades with the disable, it's often best to just lock an assignment to restrict student access from that point on. And then when I go to unlock, I can just click on that lock, and now students will have access again. All right, so that is the lock option in our list here. I can also pin content if I want it to be a little bit more proximate for my students. So I've clicked the three dots and clicked pin on two different assignments here. You'll notice that a pin icon shows up next to each. And if I scroll to the top, those pinned items are now at the top of the course under pinned content. If I switch over to my student account, I will now see that while I have other assignments down below, I will also see those specific assignments up in pinned content. Let me click into the right class here. All right, so those pinned items are up here at the top, but I also see them down in my specific lesson. So if you're worried about kids scrolling down to the right lesson or finding different things in the middle of class, it might be best to go ahead and pin those and then tell students to find them at the top of the course. Now, it is best practice to only pin a few things at a time. So once my students have done or have finished working on these assignments, I'm going to click on that pin to unpin them. All right, so think only 2 to 3 items pinned at the top of the course at a time. Continuing on down our list here, I can pull the specific link to a specific assignment if I want to share that in my LMS and have students click directly into something like the lesson quiz. I can copy that link. I can also push content to students, which is like a push notification on your phone. If I click push to students here, I'll get this notification that says, hey, you successfully pushed this out to students. But on student screens, it'll show as a pop-up that says, hey, your teacher wants you to access the 1-4 glossary quiz right now. So go ahead and click into it, and it'll allow them a button to click on that. So another way to really make an assignment visible to students if they're having trouble finding it, or if everybody's working on different things and you want to regroup your class and focus them on one assignment, you can push that assignment over to students. All right, last couple of things here are both related to real differentiation within the new platform. If I want to make something available to just a few students rather than everyone in the class, I can click the 3 dots on the assignment and then enable it for just some students rather than all students. So toggling it on to green will make it live for everyone, whereas clicking the 3 dots, enable for, and then some students will allow me to pick and choose which students I make the assignment live for. So it's a way to differentiate if you have some learners that are progressing faster than others and they need some extra work in order to fill their time. This may be a good option. Or if I have my lesson quiz here and I want to differentiate it for meeting accommodations of particular students, I'll do a couple of things here. I'll take the original lesson quiz and create a copy of it. Anything inside of the platform is copyable so long as it's not a spreadsheet exercise in our accounting course. So everything outside of that is copyable. You can do this with activities to change the instructions or the questions being asked at the end. You can do this for lesson quizzes in order to maybe rename them to something that's not quiz or edit some of the questions or answers in there. Whatever you wanted to change, all you have to do is create a copy of it first. Creating a copy will take that copied assignment and put it right below the original with the word copy in front of it. Now, clicking on that copy of lesson quiz 1-4, I see an edit tab on the left-hand side. This will take me into the building feature of the assignment itself. I can change the name of the assignment. I can change the questions that are asked. So I can change and edit anything inside of the question itself. I can delete any question entirely. I can delete answer choices. I can create my own answer choices. I can even add new types of questions into the assignment. So if I wanted something to be half multiple choice, but then also include free response, I could just simply add those questions into this copy of the assignment and make a more dynamic quiz. All right, once I've done all of the changes in that assignment, I can also change the settings of the assignment to accommodate for those special scenarios that I was talking about before. So maybe some students have the unedited assignment with all of the questions, all of the answers, and maybe a 45 or 30-minute time limit. But with this version 2 that accommodates for my students that have or qualify for those special accommodations, they actually get 45 minutes on the time limit. So I have 2 separate assignments, 2 separate time limits, and 2 separate layouts from the student view perspective. All of that can be edited between my copy and my original. Then from there, I would want to make sure that I enabled the original version for those students that are not receiving the accommodations. And then I would enable the edited version for the students that do. So it's an easy way to create a copy based on those accommodations and then enable it just for those students that need access. All right, I've covered a lot so far. I think we're, maybe 10 to 15 minutes into this recording. So I'm going to take a brief pause to go back over everything that I've talked about thus far. We begin with just login instructions and how to actually get into the platform using single sign-on or username and password. We then talked about clicking this Add Class button and creating a class with one of our pre-paced templates. Next, we talked about how in this course outline that is created for us once we create that course, we have a few different tabs on the left for things like the gradebook, student roster, and default class settings, which is where you can change the name of the class if needed, as well as change the gradebook and default assignment settings, like allowing for multiple attempts. Back to my course, we talked about connecting to an LMS and how it just takes a few clicks in order to roster students from a specific LMS. We talked about the layout of the course, oftentimes being semester 1 and semester 2, as well as the layout of each lesson and how we go from some content delivery options to assessment options and then round it out with certain activities. We followed that up by talking about how everything is disabled by default and how you can toggle things onto green as you want to make them active for students. And then all of the things you can change within the settings of the assignment page, and how we can manage even more options by clicking on the 3 dots of an assignment. A couple things to mention here, just housekeeping within each of our courses as well. In a lot of the courses, in each of the lessons, you'll see a specific lesson plan that is a teacher-only resource, and it doesn't have a toggle on the right-hand side. So a teacher-only resource doesn't have any student content. So there's no enable button because students don't need to see it. But if I click into this lesson plan, I'll see both a digital copy and a download option for the lesson plan specifically relating to this lesson inside of the platform. I'll see this specific pace for the entire unit or lesson. I'll see broken down into a 4E process of engaging students with a specific resource found in the lesson and how they might do that. I'll see an explore session or a section which is related to the content delivery inside of the lesson. Elaborate is going to take me through the a little bit deeper application and getting into student ownership and specific instructions for each of those activities. And then lastly, the evaluate section, where we'll talk about what quizzes to use in the specific resources there. So whether you just need a lesson plan to turn into administration, or you'd like a little bit more guidance into what you're looking at for each lesson, this lesson plan is going to be your best friend for that. Now, it is worth noting that you'll see like this lesson in particular is a pretty thick one. We're talking about 6.17 days to cover everything, all the content here. Lessons will vary in the duration of that pacing. So while this is one of the longest lessons within the platform itself, if I click down to maybe 1 to 8 here, well, this one has a lot of activities too. So depending on how many resources are inside of each lesson, that'll tell you probably how long you're going to end up spending on the lesson itself. All right, so I can see this one was about 3.5 days. So that's just a little bit of an added documentation for you to help you pace out the course a little bit better. And then lastly, at the very top, we have a welcome to principles of marketing section for the teacher to kind of outline or maybe put into a syllabus a description of the course. And then also a pacing and objectives document, which is a download that will show you lesson by lesson what objectives we're covering and what glossary terms are included in that as well. All right, now that we've talked about everything that there is to know about a specific course and course outline, enabling content for students and making it available, so on and so forth, let's get into the gradebook and how we might generate some reports as well. So this is another teacher account, and you'll see that all of the classes I've created are laid out here for me on the classes page. When I log in after I've created classes, this is the page I'll be taken to. At any point, I can click on the down arrow here and archive a class if I no longer want it to be available to students, and if I want to clean up my dashboard a little bit. Once a class is archived, I can restore it, so I'm not losing or deleting any work. If I click over to the archived classes, I'll see any classes that I've closed out, and I can click the down arrow and then restore them, which would be an option that loads up right here, if I want to return them to availability for myself and my students. All right, so into our grading and reporting here. So I clicked on my first period Intro to Business class, where I have enabled quite a bit of content. I've received grades for each of these assignments as well, and I can find them in the grade book. Now, within the platform, there are really two kinds of assignments to be graded. There are auto-graded assignments, like lesson quizzes and glossary quizzes that do come with an answer key. And then there are teacher-graded assignments, which are things like our ethics challenges or activities that have free response opportunities for students, where the teacher has to actually go in and audit what students have answered and decide what grade to give them. So let's click into each of those and see kind of a list here. All right, so once students have completed an assignment, you'll see their name show up on the left-hand side and a grade next to their name if it's an auto-graded assignment. So in this case, Beverly has completed my auto-graded lesson quiz, and she received a 25%. For other assignments that are teacher-graded, let's see if we can find one real quick here. I'll go to the gradebook to look at it. We still see student names over on the left-hand side, but instead of a grade next to their name, we will see them as ungraded, which means that we have not reviewed their work and haven't given them a specific grade. Let me click into my gradebook and find one of my ungraded assignments. Awesome. None in that course. I'll hop over here and find another. Red and highlighted in red so that you as the teacher specifically understand, hey, this is ungraded and needs a little bit of attention here. Awesome. So Jared Walkert down here at the very bottom shows as red and ungraded in my gradebook. If I click on the specific assignment, which is also a lesson quiz, but one that I've added some free response answers to, so it is not auto-graded, Jared will show as ungraded here at the bottom of my screen and not reviewed. And then if I scroll down to Jared's name on the left-hand side, I will see it highlighted in red and red writing, and it says ungraded as well. Here is where I can click on Jared's name. It brings me to his assignment. I can review the answers that he gave, and then I can click either up here at the top to assign him a specific grade, like a 12 out of 16, or I can go question by question, giving him a 1 or a 0 or half credit, depending on his answers from there. So whether you prefer to go question by question for your students or grade the entire assignment as a whole, you have some different options. Now, lastly, let's say I had an assignment that was really just for participation, and it wasn't one that I wanted to go question by question to review. Anybody who turned it in, I wanted to give the same grade to. On the All Students tab over here on the left, I see a full list of my students. I can see if and when they have submitted the assignment. And then I can also, if I've already graded them, see the grade that was given to them. All right. So in this case, let's say that for everyone that turned it in, I already graded it myself. But now for everybody who hasn't turned it in or is missing, I wanted to give them a 0% and go ahead and clear out that grade book. Here at the top, I could click on missing, and you'll notice that now all of the students that haven't submitted the assignment are checkmarked as missing. Once they're checkmarked, I can now bulk action give them all the same grade of a 0 instead of going one by one and assigning them each a grade and waiting for it to save. All right, so on the All Students tab is where I can bulk grade by selecting multiple students and then assigning them all the same grade, custom from there. If a student said, oh, I actually submitted my work early and I need you to reset the assignment for me, that can also be handled here. On the All Students tab, I can over here on the right-hand side see a red reset button. And it's a quick and easy way for me to either reset the entire assignment for students and clear out their answers, or just unsubmit the assignment and pass back their work to them as if they're still working on it. So whether you want to give them another try by resetting the complete assignment, or you just want to pass it back to them to make some edits before submitting again, I have 2 options for that here. Now, my gradebook overall, if I clear out my filters, is going to show me anything that I've assigned that comes with a grade. So unless I check that checkbox inside of the settings to make it excluded from the gradebook, it's going to show up here, and that's going to happen automatically. I can, if I wanted to, create my own assignment inside of the gradebook by clicking this blue create button. But for the most part, it's likely that you're only going to want things in the gradebook that are in your course as well. You can see that there's different tags for some of these assignments. The red clock that shows it as submitted late as a little flag for teacher eyes inside the gradebook. And then there's also a flag for missing. If an assignment has a due date, like this one has June 20th here, and a student hasn't turned it in by then, it'll flag it in the gradebook as missing, both for the teacher and the student. Other tags on the assignment show me what grading category it was organized into and the total number of points that the assignment is labeled as. Inside of the gradebook, instead of clicking into the assignment and then editing grades from there, I can also just click on a specific student's grade and change it. So let's say Roderick did this project to create a product or service and originally got an 87%, but came back to me, made some edits in person to me in class. And so I just wanted to go ahead and edit the grade from here. I can click on that 87, change it to a 95, click enter, and it will auto update from there. All right, so tons of different little things that we can do in here in order to edit grades and view different parameters for each of those assignments. Now I'll pause for emphasis here. In my teaching experience, it was always helpful for me to have the newest assignments or the most recent assignments all the way to the left in my gradebook so that I could easily click in and see them here instead of having to scroll all the way over in order to see things from, earlier in the semester. So in order to have the newest and most current assignments show up in the left side of the gradebook, it is best to sort the gradebook by created date newest first. This is going to mean that anything that you've enabled most recently and that is likely ungraded is going to be all the way to the left side of the gradebook here for easy viewing. And then anything that's older that you probably don't need to review anymore is going to be all the way to the right. So again, one more time, it is always best, or it is my suggestion, to default your gradebook to sort by the newest content first, created date newest first, rather than created date oldest first, which is the default when you create a new assignment or a new class. Okay. Other than that, I'd say use the filter option here as well to filter for things that are missing. If students are coming in and figuring out what they can do to bring their grade up, you can filter your gradebook for everything that's been missing and then look at their specific name and find what they're missing. Or if you're looking to spend a PD day catching up on grading, you can filter the gradebook for ungraded, and that'll show you everything that you need to click in and clean up from there. Now, there are plenty of things that are auto-graded within the platform, including everything related to the simulations, all of those quizzes and whatnot. So for the most part, hopefully you can get away from teacher grading a whole lot of these assignments. But for those things that you do need to, these are some helpful tips. Alrighty, so let's transition to reporting now. The platform will take a report of how much time students spend on any given assignment that is within the class, as well as the grades that are associated with those. So Couple of different ways to create reports. The quickest and easiest one, and one that may be best for one-on-one student conferences or parent-teacher conferences, is to click on a student by name in the gradebook. For example, I'll click on Callie's name here. And what happens is a report is automatically created for Callie, showing me total time on task by lesson, same as average time on task, content visited, grade, attempts, so on and so forth. Now, these are fake students in my class, so it's not actually showing me data here. But for your student, if you click down to given lesson, like MKT 1-2, you'd be able to see each lesson element that was enabled for Callie, the total time that she spent on the assignment, the grade that she got on it, and how many attempts she spent. So all kinds of data that we can pull for a specific student. And then on the reports tab itself, we can build out a report by a specific subject area, by a specific class, or again, by a specific student within one of those classes. So just to show it here, I'm going to create a report for my second period Intro to Business class. And I want that report to show, I can do standards, lessons, tasks, or just general reporting. I'll do it by lesson. And then I actually just want to see some data around student grades on specific lessons. All right, I can run the report, and now I'll see a student by student display of how they've scored on specific lessons. Without dropping it down, I can see averages for the unit as a whole and how students scored overall on the unit. I can drop down then and see overall student grades by lesson. So average grades for 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. And then I can drop down each lesson to see specific assignments and how they scored. Now you'll see that top scores are shown in blue, lower end scores are shown in red. If I want this to be a little bit more pronounced, I can click on the reporting settings and decide which type of kind of like spread I would like to see, whether it's standard deviation, top half and bottom half of scores based on class average, stuff like that. I can organize right here. And then lastly, I can export this report to an Excel or CSV file in order to use it for common planning, PLCs, conferences, anything I need to there. Alrighty, so I'll take another pause here. We're nearing the end of our training here, but we've talked about how to create a class, how to roster students, the general layout of our classes. We've talked about some customization, which I'm going to get into a little bit more here with our simulations in just a second. And then we've also talked about grading, reporting, differentiating, and some other stuff as well. All right, so my last big topic is how to access simulations alongside courseware inside of the new platform. And then we'll talk about support resources for you moving forward. All right, so in the platform, now that we have full-length courses and simulations, it's going to be probably likely that if you're licensing both courses and simulations, that you want those to show up in the same place for students, where they can complete assignments, activities, videos, and text, and then hop right into the simulation itself. So flipping back over here to my teacher account, let's say I take my marketing class and we're going through marketing and we get to a point in the class where I decide I think I want to access the marketing simulation with my students, and I want them to complete that as well. I have my just marketing courseware here, but anytime I want to customize a class by adding content to it, whether that's from another product within the platform itself or from outside of Stukent altogether, I can click this blue Add Content button, which is going to give me a number of different ways that I can add content, including a material, file, link, external video, or assignment that I custom make. So maybe I got something on Teachers Pay Teachers, and now I want to bring it into business use so that my students have some congruence in the processes that they're accessing content from. I can create that assignment and edit it exactly how I want to be as a custom assigned inside of the course here. Or if I want to choose stuff from other products inside of Business U, I'll click on Courses, which may be renamed to Products at a later time here. If I hover over Courses, I now see a full length of all of the products that are in my license in particular. I see some simulations and other courses. I see some certification prep as well. But what I'm looking for right now is the marketing Simternship, which is right here. That's what I want to bring into my marketing class. So I click on add content, courses, and then that specific Simternship marketing right here. It takes me to a split screen where I can see on the left-hand side is my marketing simulation, and on the right-hand side is my marketing class. I know that I want to put the simulation, say, after Unit 3, Customer Relationship Management. So I'm going to take that whole entire rotation. So I click and drag that entire unit and put it right here in my course. And now marketing rotation rounds 1, 2, and 3 are active in my course. Active meaning they've been brought over into it. They won't be active for my students until I toggle them onto green, just like any other resource. All right, so I've taken my marketing course and I've added this new product to it. They can exist as 2 separate classes if I wanted to. I could go back and create a class with my marketing simulation, but in this case, I really wanted to bring in that simulation to complement the course that we're walking through right now. I'll click Save Changes. And now back in my course, I can see that the marketing rotation exists right after Unit 3. Inside of the simulation, there are really 3 main elements for most of our rounds. They include a pre-sim briefing, which is slides that help the teacher walk through with their students what they're going to interact with. There is the launch, round 1, which is where the students are actually going to launch the simulation. And then afterwards, there are reflection questions, which is going to be a way to help make the learnings from the simulation a little bit more sticky for students as they reflect and answer questions, or as you do that aloud in class. Just like with other lesson elements inside of my courseware, my simulation exists with the enable toggle, and students aren't going to have access to anything inside of the simulation until I, as the teacher, have toggled the resources onto green. I'm going to go ahead and do all of them right now. And now it's all live for my students. So from the student perspective, I can actually click into these and access them from there. I'll go ahead and flip over to my student account so we can see what that looks like. So as the teacher, if you'd want to see from a student perspective those simulations, if you click on the simulation round itself, you'll actually just see a view of kind of the admin side or back side of the simulations. So here's where I can reset student rounds for them to go through and try a round again. I can also see resources for scoring and instructor guide here. And then, like I said, student results. So I can see the student leaderboard and progress on this screen. But if I, as the teacher, want to see what students are seeing here, I can click on my name in the top right and then switch to my student account. Just like with everything else inside of the new platform, switching to the student account gives me a view of what my students have access to. So I can see that those rounds 1, 2, and 3 that I enabled. I can click on the round, like round 1 here, to access the simulation. After letting it load, I can click to launch that simulation. And now I'm in the sim as a student working with it from there. All right, so whether you're a student accessing or a teacher accessing, the main way to see what that simulation looks like and walk through it myself would be to switch to a student account real quick and then access the sim from there. Now, if you've used Stukent simulations in the past, you'll notice that the interface on the simulation side of things is basically the same. I still have on the left-hand side all of my different options for viewing my inbox, objectives, in this case, my product outline for buoy baggage line. And then as I move throughout the simulation, I will have my specific business decisions or different decisions to make, as in this case, my marketing manager to move through the simulation itself. Once a student has completed the round of the simulation and gone through all of the specific things that they need to do and run the simulation, they will still be taken to the page where they see specific feedback on the round that they just completed. And then there'll be an option for them to progress to the next enabled round in the sim, or they can hop back to hop back to their Business U course or their Stukent course in the platform in order to continue to work on different assignments. So whether they stay inside the simulation and move from round to round, or come back to the original platform and click into the next round, they should have access from there. All right, so again, just a quick overview of how to access those. You toggle on the simulations after adding them to your course or creating a course with them, just like any other content, toggling it on to green to allow students to have access. From there, to access the simulation itself, we need to be in a student account and click into the specific round of the sim. In this case, if I'm a student and I have all of these rounds enabled, if I click on round 3, it'll still take me back to my earliest round that I need to complete. So I can't, as a student, access round 3 until rounds 1 and 2 are completed. So you'll notice I clicked on round 3 in this case, and it actually took me back to round 1 because I hadn't completed that yet. So as a teacher, feel free to open up as many rounds of the simulation as you see fit for your students, knowing that they still have to complete them in order for things like marketing, social media marketing, before they can progress to the next round. This is true for many of the simulations inside of the platform here. All right, so we've covered adding simulations into courseware in order to have it all in the same place. Grade passback from those simulations is going to be automatic to the gradebook, just like a lesson quiz or glossary quiz, where that passback is automatic and posted into your gradebook as well. All right, we're rounding out our training here. So I wanted to cover how to get access to our success team if you have any other questions, as I'm sure you do. Now, this recorded training is never going to replace a live training, so I strongly suggest that you reach out to your customer success or teacher success manager in order to do a live onboarding with them. But if needed, you can also access a few different resources that you may see on the screen now. In the bottom right, we also have a quick chat feature that you'll always see if you're logged into the platform or on our brochure page here. Clicking on that little chat bubble in the bottom right will take you to an interface that allows you to instant message with our team. So you'll see up here at the top, we actually have a picture of me because I answer these very often, as well as Carissa and Taylor, who support a couple of different regions of teachers across the United States. And our typical response time is under a minute. We take a lot of pride in being very responsive for our teachers. So if anything's ever broken or you find something that you don't really understand within the platform, or if you'd like to understand pricing in a little bit different way, or if you have some curriculum questions, anything under the sun, you can always type in and message us and we'll always get back to you. Outside of that instant chat, there are a few different places that you can go on our website as well to access different resources related to like PDFs walking you through any of the things that I've talked about, or articles as well. So most of those are linked here at the top under resources and support, but you can always also go to help.businessu.org and you'll see articles there. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching this recorded training. We are excited about supporting you in this upcoming year and are always ready to answer the questions that you have. Take care and have a great school year.